Another edition of Behind the Lines presented by TheLines.com and BetMGM Sportsbook. I'm Eli Hershkovich, joined as always by Christian Cipollini, trading manager at BetMGM. Christian, let's kick it off with Thursday Night Football. The 6-7 49ers hosting the 7-6 LA Rams. Big NFC West matchup. San Francisco, a 2.5-point home favorite. Both teams trailing the Seahawks in the NFC West. In another market for this game, total of 48.5. And going back to week 3, LA upset San Francisco as 6.5-point home dogs. They overcame a 10-point fourth quarter deficit in that one. The Rams, though, benefited from some questionable coaching down the stretch against the Bills in week 14 by Sean McDermott. And they won outright as 3.5-point home underdogs in that matchup. But the market seems to be favoring the 49ers here, and what appears to be a must-win spot for San Francisco.
Yeah, two teams coming off two pretty big wins. Usually that does end up a team that does well the week before. We usually tend to take public bets from those teams. As of right now, we are taking a little bit more Rams money. Just not sure if that's off the past couple weeks or the fact that they beat a much better team. So yeah, the market's kind of headed that way. The market's headed the other way, but we've taken a little bit of more of our sharp action so far coming on the Rams. From a player prop perspective, Purdy is the one that I've seen so far. His passing yards pretty quickly got bet up from 240 up to at least 245 right now. Might go up a little bit more. And also, but ironically to that passing yards, I've also seen Debo unders hitting, which I know he hasn't been playing very well. He's got some stuff on social media, but I guess that's maybe where those bets are coming from.
Yeah, he deleted his tweet from Monday night, but he leads the team in drops. So how much complaining he could do at this point, I'm not really sure. But in the anytime touchdown market, Kyren Williams leads the pack minus 175. He scored 4 touchdowns in his last 3 games. So whether it's Williams or Purdy, some intriguing options, whether you're looking at just the standard market, spread total, or player props for that matter for Thursday Night Football. But let's shoot over to the Sunday. Or go ahead.
Kyren real quick. That's another one that I saw bets on, and it was actually his over receiving yards at 9.5. So I'm not sure if there was something from the last week or two that has suggested that maybe he's going to catch a little bit more than usual, but we did see overs on his receiving.
On to the Sunday slate, the 12-1 Kansas City Chiefs. They won their 15 straight one-possession game on Sunday night against the Chargers. They're 4.5-point road favorites at the 3-10 Cleveland Browns. Kansas City coming off of that division clinching win as well against Los Angeles. Total of 45 in this game. And the Chiefs, by the way, you look at their point differential sitting at plus 56, just juxtaposed with Detroit, another Super Bowl contender, the favorite to win this year's Super Bowl, plus 183 in regards to their point differential. So that just goes to show you how many close games Kansas City has won. You look on the flip side with the Browns, 3-10, and Jameis Winston and his turnover woes continue to plague Cleveland yet again on Sunday against the Pittsburgh Steelers, failing to cover that one as 6.5-point road dogs. But the market seems to be a little bit interested in the home underdog here, looking at Winston and the Browns.
Yeah, the Chiefs this year are probably the one team that's been the hardest to figure out because, you're mentioning all these close games that they win, but a lot of times they're point spread is a lot higher than that and a lot different. What we've seen so far is we are taking more Chiefs bets. Like I said, that's been mixed throughout this season. It's not always overwhelmingly Chiefs every week. As of right now, we're taking a lot more Chiefs bets. I'm thinking that's probably going to be the case anytime a team is playing the Browns that is under a touchdown, just off the Jameis Winston effect, knowing that he could throw a pick six at any moment. So even if you're losing and he's driving down by, he's losing and he's got to go down and drive, he could easily throw a pick six and you end up just back to recovering. So maybe that's based off what it is. But yeah, that's what we're seeing.
I will forever remember the Winston pick six against the Broncos. I'm not really sure what happened with Elijah Moore not attempting to tackle the Broncos cornerback, but again, that'll haunt me forever. Browns plus 6.5 against Denver a couple Monday nights ago. But on to the Carolina Panthers. Yes, we're talking about the Panthers. 3-10 Carolina favored for the first time since week 15 in the 2022 season. That coming off of the Monday Night Football game with Dallas losing to the Bengals in Another horrific beat for underdog bettors on Monday night. We'll get into that in a second. But Carolina up from 1 point home favorites against the Cowboys, now to 2.5, -2.5 at BetMGM, total of 43. Bryce Young and the Panthers have covered 5 games in a row, so that correlates with the market shifting that spread, along with Dallas losing and just with Carolina beating the market's expectations in the last month plus. And Bryce Young, by the way, league average, which doesn't seem great, but league average in EPA per dropback over the last 5 games, and that is a bit of a refinement from his play at the beginning of the season before he got benched. Where do you expect this number to close with the spread veering toward the key number of 3?
Yeah, I'm not so sure if we're going to end up getting to 3 on this. This is the first time the Panthers have been favored in 2 years at this point. So while they have looked, a lot better, there's probably a few things at play here. Dallas really could have won that game last night. The blocked punt, changed things pretty quickly there. But also on the flip side, the Panthers could have very easily won that game against the Eagles had Leggett made that catch at the end of the game. I do think if we do end up getting to 3, that's when I think we'll start taking a ton of Cowboys money. So I do feel like we're probably, at least this is the highest I think it'll go to Carolina. Maybe there's a chance it does come back down to Dallas. But my guess is we're right around the range.
You mentioned Cowboys, and we both did, the Cowboys and Bengals game on Monday night with Dallas failing to cover the Jamar Chase 40-yard touchdown reception, putting Bengals bettors on a high in the waning minutes of that game, and Cooper Rush and the Cowboys failing to convert a 4th down pretty much sealed it. But Dallas was, I believe, covering for most of, if not the entire game. How big of a swing was that for you guys? Not only with the point spread, but just money line parlays and Bengals money line straight bets as well.
Yeah, you mentioned there the money line parlays was actually a very big one for us. We had a lot of liability coming in on the Bengals, just winning that one straight up. So that was the one thing we didn't want to happen. So that whole blocked punt fiasco was pretty bad for the book in general because we were already taking Bengals money on top of it, so we didn't want them in the first place, plus all the extra liability that we had coming. That was by far our worst outcome of the week was actually last night.
If you were on both of the last 2 Monday night dogs, it pretty much reemphasizes and highlights the importance of responsible gambling, just with the notion that anything could happen betting on the National Football League. So, Christian, looking ahead to the final 3 games, or at least the more intriguing matchups on the Sunday card for NFL Week 15, the 12-1 Detroit Lions, 1.5-point home favorites against the 10-3 Bills. The 11-2 Philadelphia Eagles, 4.5-point home favorites against the 10-3 Pittsburgh Steelers. And then on Sunday night, the 8-5 Seahawks, +3, -115 at BetMGM, the lone home dog of the bunch against the 9-4 Green Bay Packers, coming off of that loss to Detroit on Thursday night in Week 14. Of those 3 games, which one has attracted some of the sharper bets that you've seen, not just in those 3 matchups, but for NFL Week 15 overall?
Yeah, all 3 games have had a little bit of line movement. We have seen a little bit of sharp action in all of them. I'd say the one that has the most is probably the Seahawks-Packers game. That one was at 2.5. We've gone up to that key number of 3, at least at BetMGM. There are still a couple 2.5s out there. But our sharp action guided us to go to 3. So I'd say that one has the most, but all 3 have moved. That Bills-Lions line was at 2.5, now down to 1.5, so a little bit of sharper action coming to the Bills. And that Eagles-Steelers line was at 4.5 to the Eagles. We've gone slightly up to 5 to the Eagles. I'm not sure. That one's kind of in no man's land. I'm not sure where we'll end with that. But yeah, right now the sharps are on the Packers.
Looks like that move must have come in the last 20 or so minutes for Philadelphia.
Did, yes. Yeah.
And Pittsburgh. We're recording this here on Tuesday, December 10th, leading up to Thursday Night Football between the 49ers and Rams. So definitely some intriguing movement here as we record 5 days out, a handful of days out before the Sunday slate. For bettors that are unaware of what sharp action means, just to clarify that, some may know that it's okay. This is a bet that's moving the line. But could you clarify for any novice bettors out there what sharp action actually refers to?
Yeah, so other books are always going to classify it for different ways. For us, we use two different really metrics that we're going to use to move the line. The one is where the market's at. Similar to any sort of stock market. We have all the books from all around the globe, wherever their lines sit. Generally most books are going to be within those range. So there's really only a range of numbers that we'll really find ourselves going too far out of market. And then we'll use the sharper customers that we've seen over the past years to determine where we're going to go. So those are customers that we've seen in the past that generally are market movers. When this person bets, if they bet this at 2.5, more likely than not, this is going to be 3 by the time we close later in the week. These bettors generally bet early because they always try to get on the number quick, especially when they know a number that's not going to be there the entire time. So when we do see those customers move, we usually respect their action and we'll move with it. So that might be all across the industry. There might be some sharps that have betted a different book, and you'll start to see those lines move in those general directions. For us, generally, we have a decent amount of customers that we respect when they do bet, and we'll tend to move off anytime we see them.
I'm really curious to see how this Packers offense, since we touched on that game last and you mentioned some of the sharp action on Sunday Night Football, how Jordan Love and company match up against a Seahawks defense under Mike McDonald that has really thrived since the bye week, and Seattle has won out since the bye going back to week 10, I believe, or week 9. The Seahawks defense looks completely revitalized and now atop the NFC West standings. But overall, Christian, NFL Week 15 slate, which bets stand out to you?
Yes, I have two that I like this week. The one we've already touched on and mentioned is the Cowboys. I'm waiting a little bit to see if this does go to 3. I don't think it will, but if it does, I will definitely take them at 3. Just generally, I do think that they've looked a little bit better, and I'm just not buying the Panthers as a favorite. It's been years since it happened, so give me the team with the points there. And the other one that I like is in the same division, also a road favorite. This team is a road favorite. I do like the Commanders against the Saints, just generally off the fact that they're coming off a bye, and we really don't know anything about who's going to be starting for the Saints. They got a lot of bad options. So in that case, give me the team off the bye.
Speaking of market movement for that game before we got started here, I did see some money line action coming in on New Orleans as a touchdown home dog. I don't know if Marshawn Lattimore is going to be back for this game, but interesting revenge angle there with Lattimore getting dealt to the Commanders if he does start at cornerback against, like you said, who knows what this Saints passing attack is going to look like without Derek Carr. Even though he wasn't ruled out for the rest of the season, he is locked out, I guess, to miss this matchup against Washington. And New Orleans, by the way, just 2 games back in the NFC South standings, with Atlanta cratering over their last 3 games, to say the least, with Kirk Cousins. We'll see if the Falcons make a switch from Cousins to their rookie quarterback, Michael Penix, down the stretch. As you all know by now, we've teamed up with BetMGM this season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we'll have special offers for our listeners each week. If you haven't signed up with BetMGM yet, use promo code THELINES, that's the lines one word, and you will get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using bonus code THELINES. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game. You'll then receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your first bet loses. Just make sure to use bonus code THELINES when you sign up. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. U.S. promotional offers not available in New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 in New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP in Arizona, 1-800-327-5050 in Massachusetts, 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa, and 1-800-981-0023 in Puerto Rico. First bet offer for new customers only, subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire within 7 days. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code THELINES and get your $1,500 first bet offer today. On to college football, Christian. The first time 12-team college football playoff kicking off next weekend, and the bracket being revealed on Sunday afternoon after the championship weekend matchups wrapped up on Saturday night. So between the 4 first-round games, we've already seen some market movement dating back to as early as Sunday, but similar to the line of thought that I mentioned with a few of those NFL Sunday matchups, Bills, Lions, Eagles, Steelers, and Seahawks, Packers, which one of these first-round games in the college football playoff have attracted some of your sharper customers?
Yeah, probably not one people would expect, but we did see action early on Indiana. They opened up at 8.5. We started taking bets there. We're now down to 7.5. That was the main one that I saw. We did see some people jumping on Clemson, but it wasn't a ton of action. That one shocked me a little bit on the Indiana versus Notre Dame. Notre Dame's looked good over the past couple weeks, but there is always that losing to a MAC team, all those weeks back. So.
I actually really like Indiana catching. I bet 7.5 minus 110 on Monday night. Yes, Notre Dame, like you said, losing that game to Northern Illinois in week 2, and Indiana, their strength of schedule looks great. But back to that notion with the Irish and losing to the Huskies, a MAC team, their strength of schedule is top 60, I think, ranked 57th across FBS, and Notre Dame's run defense is below the Power 5 or among those Power 5 conference teams below average in college football. So big liability there against an Indiana team that can run the football. Worth noting, yes, Notre Dame at home, but still laying above the key number of 7. And you go back to their last regular season game, getting pretty lucky to cover that one against USC on the road with 2 pick sixes in the fourth quarter. And you can Google that if you like, just referencing Curt Cignetti, the Indiana head coach, which Marcus Freeman, the Irish coach, decided to throw out in his press conference on Sunday night. But overall in the college football playoff, to win the CFP, Oregon and Texas tied atop the board at plus 360 at BetMGM. Any significant bets come in since Sunday, since the bracket came out?
Yeah, right after the bracket came out, the 2 teams that we got the most bets on right after that probably is a little bit expected because there's been a lot of talk of road and who's had the easiest road, but it was Texas and Penn State were the 2 that immediately off of that we started taking bets on. Penn State had the biggest jump of any team when the bracket did get released. They were about 13-1 before that, and now they're down to about 7-1. So they had a pretty significant change looking at their road being a lot easier than it would have been expected. So definitely took some Penn State money, and a similar story with Texas. Although Texas was a much shorter favorite ahead of that, their road on paper, as they're saying, looks easy. So that's what led to those bets coming in. From a book perspective, there's 2 teams we don't want to win. That is Arizona State and Boise State. So we feel like we're in pretty good shape. But yeah, if those 2 start making a run, book won't be happy.
I think you're in good shape on both of those teams.
Yeah,
but that's coming
so.
From a novice college football bettor. Just back to Texas. I didn't really understand the Clemson love, at least early on. Like you said, maybe not as significant bets coming in on the Tigers juxtaposed with Indiana. But Texas losing, yes, in overtime in the SEC championship game to Georgia, but tons of fumble luck going the Bulldogs' way, and Texas should have been up by much more than a field goal at halftime. Yes, Georgia came back, won that game without Carson Beck, but I think Texas at home, I'm not betting the Longhorns, but still, I'm probably not super interested in the Clemson Tigers, even above a double-digit point spread sitting at 11, 12, whatever it may be, come kickoff. But really appreciate the time, Christian, here on Behind the Lines, presented by BetMGM and TheLines.com, breaking down NFL and college football. Good luck to the book this week. I hate saying it, but hopefully it continues and profitable times ahead, at least for you. I'm cheering for you, Christian. I started to root for BetMGM, but I'm going to take the first part of that back.
Yeah, no, that's okay. It's okay. We don't need any sympathy for the book. I'll still wish the players out there good luck this week, and hopefully everything works out.
Yes, hopefully some of the dog bettors out there get some revenge after the Monday Night Football results, as we mentioned the last couple weeks. But he is Christian Cipollini. I'm Eli Hershkovich. Thanks for watching and listening to this edition of Behind the Lines. So long, everybody, and good luck with your NFL and college football picks.